Welcome to the Dogtor Bros, where we have an honest discussion around vet life in and out of the clinic. My name is Brandon, and I'm your doc of the day. I'll be your guide through this episode, and I'm a veterinarian living in Ames, Iowa. I'm currently a small animal internal medicine resident, and I'm here with my closest friends from vet school.
Hey, this is Chris. I'm a GP in North Carolina.
Hey, this is Jeff. I'm a dermatology associate veterinarian in Louisville, Kentucky.
And this is Adam. I am a relief veterinarian in Louisville, Kentucky.
All right, and today we'll be going into kind of the last of our vet school series. We're going into year 4 of vet school. We're going to talk about our experience, my experience working with some of the students at Iowa State that have all been fourth years, and just kind of give our little pearls of wisdom. But before that, I am currently in the middle of board study for internal medicine, and it is, for some people, they'd probably go crazy. I'm kind of enjoying it a little bit right now, but it's pretty early on. But I figured I'd give my friends here a taste of some medicine. So we're going to play a little game. Essentially, this is like fourth year. We'll be back in rounds, and we'll be doing a little internal medicine quiz. Right now, I have gone through some cardiology, hematology, respiratory medicine. So that's what we'll be pulling from. And basically, whoever can get the most questions right will basically get a beer from me next time I see them, or an equivalent drink,
Right.
or if they come visit me whenever I move out to Colorado. So, and if nobody gets anything right, then nobody wins anything. So, high stakes.
Hardball.
It's playing hardball.
Okay.
Or we owe you a beer.
Oh yeah, that would actually be a better option.
Chris, shut the...
Oh, I love that. Good suggestion.
Well, you might see him this weekend. I'm not going to be there, so
You can Venmo him money.
Yeah.
he's so in person.
A little aside, we might end up seeing some of each other this weekend, but we'll see how it goes. Anyway, so I have a few questions. Who wants to go first?
Chris.
Okay,
Why not?
Chris, let's do this.
Let's see.
And I apologize. Like I did not hold back with these questions.
Oh,
That's fine.
shit.
Slay.
I'm ready for it.
Get him, Brandon.
Okay. And then real quick, if Chris gets it wrong, Adam, you can go next, and then Jeff, and then we can just keep going from there.
Sweet.
Okay.
And if you get it right, you get the first go on the next question. All right, here we go. Chris,
Yes.
which coagulation factor made by the liver has the shortest half-life?
Yikes.
Pass.
Oh, God.
You've got like 13 to choose from. It's coming back to haunt y'all.
Chris, it's platelets.
Say a number, Chris.
Pick a number, Chris.
4.
I'm sorry, that is incorrect.
I figured as much.
All right. So I'm next.
Go for it.
Okay. So I remember 7 being a big one, so I'm going to go with 7.
That is correct.
I was going to say 7!
That's what I'm talking about!
I was going to say 7! I was like, he ain't going to know about no 7.
Very good. No, very good. Very good. All right. So Adam, you get the next question.
All right.
Is that part of the intrinsic or extrinsic pathway?
If I miss this, Jeff, by default, we'll get it right. There's like 4 in one of them, and 7 is in the 4, I think. I could be pulling that. I could be making all that up, but I'm going to go with intrinsic.
I'm so sorry.
I said extrinsic.
Is it extrinsic?
It's extrinsic.
Ah!
I got it right. Give me my question.
All right. Next question. What is the gold standard for evaluating gas exchange function of the lung?
I'm so sorry.
Oh, God. He did not hold back.
The gold standard for what now? Gas exchange in the lung?
What's going to give you the most accurate reading of oxygen saturation?
Ooh,
Jesus
ooh,
Christ.
ooh. I think I know.
Yeah.
Blood gases?
Okay. What specific blood gas?
What a rude ass question. Carbon dioxide.
No, that's not exactly what I was looking for. It's like what blood sample do you have to measure? But I'll let Chris have a chance to answer.
Sure.
Isn't it arterial?
Yeah, art gas.
Oh.
Holy crap, we're all tied up.
What? Ah, damn it.
All right. Well, this will give Chris
Shocker.
get a chance to answer this last question.
Oh gosh.
So, what antithrombotic drug selectively inhibits the P2Y12 receptor on platelets?
This is when I call internal medicine for a consult to figure out what's the best option.
Chris, tell me one antiplatelet drug.
Gosh, dude. Put me on the spot.
He passes.
Plavix?
What? Oh yeah, that's it.
No! Oh my God.
Ready to be an internist.
Yeah, that's it.
Man.
That's the mechanism of action of clopidogrel.
Down deep. That came back. Oh, man. Something in my head was just like, Plavix.
Oh my God. This is how we pass Navely.
This is the magic. Just quizzing each other on shit that we don't know.
Oh gosh. All right. So now you jinxed me. I'm going to have like a respiratory case issue coming in tomorrow.
Oh gosh, that's so funny. Well, I won't torture you guys anymore. So by default, Chris, I owe Chris a beer.
Yes.
That was brutal.
Oh man.
Oh.
Come back.
That's a little taste of what I've been studying. Some of this stuff is like physiology stuff, but other part of it is stuff I'll definitely be tested on. So can't wait till May 30th.
Tastes like Robitussin. Jesus.
It'll be good when it's over. All right. Well, let's get into happier things. Fourth year. You know, I think the cool thing with fourth year, I think fourth year was my favorite year. Was it everyone's favorite year?
Yeah, probably so.
100%.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. I mean, you're finally getting to be a doctor, and you're getting to use all of that knowledge that you accumulated over the past 3 years. With us, we had a little taste of it in third year, as we talked about in our previous episode. So just a shout out to that. Check out our last episodes, year 1, year 2, and year 3, to catch up on our full vet school journey. But yeah, year 4, you finally get to use those skills. Prior to year 4, just kind of want to get a take on what everyone did that summer. I'll start first, and you guys were obviously there. I got married.
Woo!
Going into fourth year. So very, very, very big part of my life.
We were in it.
And
I'm not Chris's.
We weren't in Chris's wedding, though, but we were in yours.
There's just one left.
There's just one left.
Crickets. All right. Well, what did you guys do? Like, essentially, we had rotations, like kind of going into the summer, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, this is Jeff. I don't remember doing anything significant. Like, I don't think I worked at any other clinics. I remember maybe we had 2 or 3 weeks off, I feel like, and then we were just thrown into rotation. So third year ended, and it was like catch your breath real quick. And fourth year, go.
Yeah, and this is Adam. I also got married in the summer between third and fourth year. I was a couple months after Brandon. Also, I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I was doing part of my preceptor at that time too. I feel like I was doing a rotation, I think, in oncology at Auburn. I did some of that, and then I did some shifts at the ER clinic where my fiance at the time worked as well. So I think I was working a little bit on my preceptor over that summer, that short summer break that we had as well.
You know what, Adam? I think you're right, because I remember our classes were like split, and we had like 4 to 6 weeks where you had time for like preceptor time. And I think that was the time when I distinctly remember being at LSU for my preceptor, my externship time, or for part of my externship time, because I remember one weekend driving from Baton Rouge all the way up to Kentucky to your wedding because I could not afford a flight. And that was a good about 12 hours. And I wanted to die. But I was like, I gotta get to this wedding that I'm in. And I did it.
This is Chris. So I think it definitely was like 6 weeks because we had Brandon's wedding. I had a large animal going into the summer, like rotation before we had our little break. And then I was on pathology. And then I remember I got excused for like the last day or two of path to go fly for our Purina conference that we went to, JT.
Ow.
And then from there, I flew to Montana because Natalie was in school up there to visit her. Then we flew back down to Florida. I believe I did my preceptor in ER down in Florida there. And then we drove to Adam's wedding. And we did that. And then we went back to school. So it was a jam-packed summer. I do remember that much.
And then it's Brandon again. I remember I unfortunately missed Adam's wedding because I was out looking at my future internship hospital during that time as well, out in Colorado. So yeah, I mean, fourth year was a busy time for everyone. I ended up doing, I think, my like longer stints in the second half of the year. Because for my externship / out rotations, I did an ER like rotation over at Auburn, like critical care, and then I did oncology at Colorado State, and then that's when I also did a 2-week stint at VCA Alameda East in Denver. So that was a crazy year. I definitely feel like I learned the most about like being a doctor in fourth year, and then that obviously continued as we've like practiced medicine, outside of school. But yeah, I think that was like my biggest thing, doing these externships / out rotations and just applying that knowledge. So question for you guys, like, did you have a favorite rotation during fourth year?
This is Adam. I would say, and it sounds kind of funny, but I feel like my favorite rotations were the ones that I did after I took the NAVLE, just because I felt like the pressure was kind of off at that point, because I feel like every other rotation, when you didn't have something going on, you were trying to study and cram. And when you did have something going on, it was hard to kind of keep focus because you knew you needed to be studying and cramming, even though most of what we did was applicable to our practicing and to taking the test. You had those specific areas you may know that you needed to hit harder. So I feel like those last couple of rotations where the pressure was kind of off and you could just focus on taking in the knowledge of the rotation. And I think that helped for that rotation as well. I mean, you were able to focus more on what you were doing in that rotation and apply it, not necessarily to a test, but apply it more so to what you're going to be doing in the clinic as a doctor. I specifically remember that I had medicine rotation, which is for us was one of the tougher rotations as we were going through. That was my last rotation. And I just remember being on that post-NAVLE, and it just kind of felt a little more pressure off, and I could kind of take the cases in stride and just focus on learning to apply to after I graduated as opposed to learning to apply to taking a test.
This is Jeff, and we were talking about this a little bit before the pod started, and it truly all of fourth year was like a fever dream because you have these rotations, and we rarely met together as a class at all, like maybe once or twice, I feel like, because everybody was all over the place. We're set up, and you have your 6-week preceptorships where half of the class is gone, the other half is still at school taking rotations, and then you switch. So we rarely saw each other, and then we take NAVLE. And I feel like in that period, my favorite was surgery because I was still big surgery boy at the time. And I think I remember enjoying surgery and then maybe like a surgery elective. Chris, did we take a surgery elective or something?
I know we started off surgery by actually doing Indy for our first like big surgery when we did the amputation.
Yeah.
So that was our big thing, going back to school to do that. But I don't remember. I had like preceptorships that were surgery, but I don't remember else besides the surgery rotation at Tuskegee. No, we did take an elective. I lied. We took an elective. There was an elective. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Everyone listening to the podcast, this is what's called gaslighting. So
I'm sorry. You're right.
So I'm really glad you brought that up. I actually distinctly remember my surgery rotation at Tuskegee because we, for whatever reason, like had like one thing the entire time, and I like did not see things. It was just one of those weird ones. At the end of the day, I'm honestly really happy about it because I hated surgery and I still hate surgery. No offense to surgeons, no offense to Chris. Because I just don't like surgery. I've never liked surgery. I wanted to like surgery so bad, and I just never did. But that's just how it worked out. And then, I will say, I guess I was going back earlier from our discussion on like favorite rotations. I think for me, when we did some like emergency type stuff, we had shout out to Dr. Irizarry. We had a heat stroke case come through the hospital that we ended up like being able to give plasma to and some other stuff. And unfortunately the dog did not end up making it, but that was like a really big learning experience in that school. And I will never forget that. And I ended up doing like a little presentation on it, which speaking of something that I didn't think about until just now, grand rounds. We had to do like a grand rounds presentation in fourth year where we had to talk about like a case or a topic. So that my topic ended up being heat stroke. Do you guys even remember what you talked about when you did your grand rounds?
GDV.
And oh, nice.
Chris did GDV. This is Jeff. I remember doing congestive heart failure because of my Boston Terrier who had it.
Mm.
And this is Adam. I actually did a lymphoma case that my wife had seen the year before when she was on rotation.
Nice. And like, correct me if I'm wrong, like our grand rounds was like a 30-minute thing?
No, sir.
What was it?
Our grand rounds was like maybe a max 15-minute presentation, like 12 to 15 minutes.
Sorry, I remember it being so much longer, probably because we were like literally talking in front of the school.
The entire school.
Yeah. And that's just something, I'll do this a few times because I have the kind of perspective of being at Iowa State now for 3 years and seeing these fourth year students and going through it. It's definitely different than what we went through. Their grand rounds is so much more chill. Like they definitely only do like a 12 to 15-minute presentation, but it's not in front of like the entire school. It's in front of like a small auditorium of people. But yeah, people don't realize like at certain schools and certain places, like the entire school watched you talk about a topic, and not just students, but like faculty from all over, some of that like admin. It was a big deal.
And then they ask you questions, and I know we asked questions, which usually those questions weren't very good at the end of the presentation, and there may have been some shenanigans, but not from me. Shenanigans with questions maybe circulating before the presentations. You didn't hear that from me though. I don't know anything about that. But I remember because I like to hear myself talk. Unfortunately, I'm one of those people. I like public speaking, so it was fine for me. But if you don't like public speaking, probably was a bad time. Chris is shaking and nodding his head. Would you like to share your experience, Chris?
It was fine. It went well.
I think we all did a good job. I just remember like being happy that it was over, but
I would agree.
Yeah, very much like the Navali. I mean, we've talked about it briefly a few times, but that's the big elephant in the room, right? You go into fourth year, like, holy crap, I have to now go in and like take board certification examination in the middle of fourth year while also doing my rotations. So basically the first half of the year is just the stress of studying and reviewing and doing all that. And then once you take that, like life gets a lot simpler and you can focus on your rotations more individually. Why don't you tell us about your experience, Chris?
Oh yeah.
I mean, we've kind of touched on it already. It was hectic. So took the test the same day that my daughter was born. So that was pretty hectic that day. And then I was also on internal medicine at the same exact time. So that was a crazy 3-ish weeks. Was also the thing too, is that was an extra rotation because it was right before the holiday, right? So I think we ended up having it for 3 weeks versus the typical 2 weeks. So yeah, it was
extra week.
Sorry, not extra 3 weeks. It was an extra week. So 3 weeks total versus the 2 weeks that we're supposed to take. Yeah. Thank you. But yeah, no, it was hectic. I remember studying for it was crazy. We would stay up studying for Navali. We probably met up every night to study for that, or at least a couple times a week we would study, and we'd play Mario Kart to decompress. That's how we got really into Mario Kart on N64. But yeah, that whole Navali experience was, I wouldn't recommend it, but we made it through.
This is Jeff. Navali, talking about Navali prep and experience, overall, it was really hard. I feel like we also had pressure just from classes above us who hadn't done as well. So, and I don't think this is shady or anything, but like our school was going through like reaccreditation, and one thing that was important was getting higher Navali scores. And I just remember the extra pressure of like, we really wanted to do well. So there was those programs like Zuku and Vet Prep, the big like testing programs where we took there's like lots of questions and learning material to get ready for the tests. And you should only really need one of them. Like if you like read the ads on those websites, like you do one full program and they track your percentages. So if you do like 80 to 100%, I think one of them or both gave you your money back or something. And I remember the school bought us one program, Zuku, and then a lot of people, me included, also got Vet Prep because I was like, I'm stressed out. I don't know what's going to happen. Let me just go ahead and put all my eggs in multiple baskets just to be safe, because we were so stressed about it for good reason. Like it was a really hard test, but I feel like Chris said, like we did the study groups a couple of nights a week. I really organized myself with leaning into the ways that I learn, which we've mentioned in the past. Like I'm audio and visual, so I listen to a ton of podcasts. I listen to Vet Girl podcasts. And then as we got closer to what was almost an 8-hour exam, I started doing like endurance training, if you will. Like there's 60-minute question tests on Vet Prep, and I would take 2 of them one week, and then the next week I took 2. And then the week after that I did 4. Week after that I did 4. Week after, I think I did 1 or 2 trials of the full 6. I think, time tests. So I like built myself up to what would be the six 60-minute tests plus the break times. And I like made my own study, I don't know, trial at home with, shout out to Andrea, who's probably listening to this, but she was my roommate at the time after Adam abandoned me because he got married. And that was kind of like my process, but it worked. One and done.
Yeah, this is Brandon again. I just remember, obviously we studied together a bunch. And then I definitely had my own thing where I'd go to one of the coffee shops. I remember Mama Mocha's in Auburn. I don't even know if that's still there. Would go there occasionally, like be joined with one of you guys, or I remember Melissa would join me occasionally. Shout out to Melissa. And we would just review, just put the headphones on and get after it. That was a hectic time. I'm kind of reliving some of that now and prepping for small animal internal medicine boards. But yeah, what a time. So one thing I wanted to just throw out there, when it comes to NAVLE, if there's any fourth year students that took the NAVLE and maybe didn't pass, or took maybe even they did pass, but they aren't happy with their score, it really doesn't mean anything. I've met multiple veterinarians that didn't pass and are now fantastic veterinarians. I don't even remember my personal score, and I've managed to almost get through now an entire internal medicine residency. So don't let the score or failing or passing define you. Just if you didn't pass, it sucks, but you can take it again, and just keep going after it. I don't know if you guys had any pearls of wisdom to any fourth year students that are going to be taking the test this coming year, going into fourth year here soon, that you wanted to share.
This is Jeff. I'll just say I totally agree as far as I already gave my tips. But what I would say is this test is not an end all be all test. It does, if you don't pass it, it doesn't mean you're a bad veterinarian or that you'll be a bad veterinarian, because technically once you get your degree, you're a veterinarian no matter what. Passing the NAVLE, I think, is helpful to do it because it's such an easy fallback if you ever want to practice any kind of medicine. So it's worth picking yourself up and taking it again. I know people, I won't name names, but I know people who had to take it 3 and 4 times and are excellent veterinarians. But it's just such a big, long test and endurance test. And they are asking you about every species. So you got your big 4, dog, cat, horse, cow, but they also like a few questions about pigs and sheep and goats and some exotics and pocket pets. Fish, the only thing I remember is ichthyosis, fish scale disease, white spot or whatever. So just don't let it define you, but go in with the mindset of, I can pass this. Most people pass this, and it's just something that you have to get done, but it's not necessarily a measure. It's not a good measure of how you will be as a veterinarian. It's just something you have to get past.
Yeah, I agree. Some people are, just not good test takers. I mean, that's the reality of it. Taking a test and answering questions on the computer isn't make or break for how you're going to be as a practicing cleanician. So, again, I know it's easy to say, but don't stress too much about it. I mean, do your studying and learn what you need to learn. Don't forget to take breaks. Don't forget to decompress, because if you're just cramming the whole time and pulling all-nighters, you're not going to be well rested. You're not going to be well prepared. So don't forget those breaks as well to kind of decompress. But I mean, at the end of the day, it is what it is. You get past it and you move on, and you go out there, and that's when you really start learning, in my opinion, is once you graduate and you start practicing and you're starting to see these cases and you're in charge of them, and you have your mentor to kind of help you along the way. But that's when the real learning begins.
Yeah, this is Brandon again. Yeah, I second that to Adam. You really learn like the true education of being a veterinarian comes after you finish school. Well, I think we can kind of end it there. In short, fourth year is a whirlwind, and there's a lot of ins and outs. Enjoy, for those of you going into fourth year, maybe if they're listening to this, enjoy it. You're finally getting to see clinical medicine and practice clinical medicine, even if you had your little 30 rotations like we did. Some places do, some places don't. You really get to get into it. And one thing I'll say to any third years out there, coming from like a resident at a school, is like, we want you guys to try, and like, don't worry about failing. That's why we're there. Like, this is your chance to fail with a safety blanket and a safety net. Just go for it and be the doctor on these cases. Just to kind of exit the show today, question for the crew: if you could practice anywhere in the world, where would you go to practice and ultimately live if you could just pick? Then money's no object. Where would you be practicing if you could pick anywhere?
This is Adam. From a young age, I'm kind of thinking of this question of where would I like to live the most, or where would I like to travel and be the most. From a young age, I've always wanted to travel to Ireland. I think the landscapes are beautiful. I'm part Irish, so I think it'd be cool to kind of go back to the old stomping grounds, if you will, and check things out. This is about you right now. I'm speaking my truth. Okay.
Which part? Which part is Irish?
The I don't know, half Irish.
This is the first I'm hearing of this.
I'm half Irish, half Scottish. Really? You guys didn't know that? What did you think it was? Just white?
European American.
European, yeah, there it is. Okay. Anyway, so I've always wanted to check out Ireland. I think it'd be really cool. I think it's beautiful there. But lately, I've kind of gotten more. Allison has done a lot. My wife has done a lot of research she reads a lot on parenting and different parenting styles. And she's really found the Swiss parenting technique and kind of how they approach parenting as really unique and really beneficial to child development. And we've done, a fair amount of research of looking into Switzerland just to visit, because I think it would be a cool place to visit. And so just kind of looking more into the culture there and the landscapes and everything and the climate and everything they have going for them. I think that Switzerland would also be a really cool place to end up if we were ever to kind of go abroad.
This is Chris. If I had to pick a place, I guess it'd be anywhere with the beach. It's pretty much kind of my criteria. So it has to be a good beach, I guess, so somewhere in the South, Hawaii. I don't know, but just to the beach. But that's my answer.
That's my answer. This is Jeff. What a great response. I was also sitting here just like literally Googling. I'm like beaches in Mexico. And I'm looking at like Playa del Carmen, Cancun, but also, Cartagena, Colombia. I really want to go there, and I feel like that would be a great place to set up shop. I feel it in my spirit.
This is Brandon. I think like all of us are kind of like into the beach. I know Adam picked Europe, which I think honestly, like, if Lindsay, my wife, was answering this question, she'd be like, somewhere in Europe, that's where we're going to move and live, and you're going to practice, and I'm going to go enjoy myself, which I would be happy there too. But in all honesty, if I could set up shop somewhere in the Caribbean, like a dream would be like have a home base in one of the islands and like island hop and do internal medicine at different places. Obviously places like Puerto Rico have a bigger population. You could like literally set up shop there and be done. But some smaller places would be cool, not only just for the living there, but the internal medicine nerd in me, all the infectious diseases you could potentially see, all the different things that you could potentially work up and treat. It's just really interesting. And then on top of that, like quality of life outside of work would be just freaking amazing. So that would be That would be my dream. Thank you so much for listening to the Dogtor Bros. If you enjoyed it, please leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or anywhere you listen to podcasts. We will love you forever. It would also help us out if you could share this episode with others who may be interested in today's topic. You can also tell us what you want to hear and drop suggestions in the comments or shoot us an email at thedogtorbros@gmail.com or DM us at thedogtorbros on Instagram. You can also reach me on Instagram at DogtorMasonIM.
And this is Chris. You can reach me on Instagram at dr.chrishernandez.
And this is Jeff. You can reach me on TikTok or Instagram at DermDrJeff, DermDogtorJeff.
And this is Adam. You can reach me on Instagram at DrAdamDVM. That's DrAdamDVM.